Talk about where we're at and some of the Democratic reaction. Pleased to have in the president and executive editor at the Daily Signal, Robert Bluey, and former Assemblyman of California, Mike Gatto. Guys, great to see you both.
Great to be here, Bianca.
So I want to play a little bit of AOC, who was live last night for a little while on Instagram, not happy, wanted to address her supporters about how she feels things are going.
We find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism. And this is the era that we are poised to enter.
Wow. Joe Biden just said a few minutes ago, bring down the temperature. What's up with AOC? Mike, as a Democrat, is this hateful rhetoric necessary really at this point? He won the popular vote as well. Come on.
It is immensely counterproductive. I have been telling my fellow Democrats some perspective since Election Day, and that is many Democrats have spent the last 8 years calling Mr. Trump literally Hitler. What does it say about our policies that we lost to, quote unquote, Hitler? And that is the perspective that I wish my fellow Democrats would grasp. This type of rhetoric is not productive. It doesn't just diminish Mr. Trump, it diminishes everybody in this country because, again, Democrats lost this election fair and square. We have some soul searching to do.
Yes, and Bernie Sanders is already doing that. He put out a statement. I want to read part of this and get your reaction, Robert. And he says it should come as no great surprise that a party that's abandoned the working class people should find the working class has abandoned them. He goes on to say that the American people are angry and want change, and they are right. So Bernie can get on board. Maybe he needs to call AOC. I'm not sure. But obviously, soul searching is one way to put it, a dramatic sort of reinvention. But their progressive ideals and radical stances have brought them to where they are. And the acceptance, I guess, is a bitter pill to swallow.
Bianca, I wonder where Bernie Sanders has been for the last 4 years. I mean, he had an opportunity to speak to Joe Biden and other members of his party and tell them exactly what he said in that message. They were losing the working class voters. If you look at the coalition that Donald Trump was able to put together, it included increases nearly in every county across this country. But if you look at the demographic groups, support increasing among Latinos, among Black Americans, among younger Americans. I mean, you can go down the list. He won suburban women. I mean, all of the groups that the pollsters were telling us he was likely to struggle with, he ended up outperforming and doing a much better job. And I think that that's because there were two things driving this. Number one, they were frustrated. People were not doing better today than they were 4 years ago. And secondly, and this is important, they wanted to see change. They're tired of career politicians, and they want somebody who can come in and shake things up.
Nothing like a Donald Trump presidency to shake things up and for the American people. I know that he represents Vermont. We have Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey saying when it comes to what Donald Trump is planning, that she wants to stop it. Let's play her reaction to the deportation plan for illegals.
If the Trump administration requests it, would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not. But, let me say this. I do think it's important that we all recognize that there's going to be a lot of pressure on states and state officials. And I can assure you, we're going to work really hard to deliver. There's a lot of other ways that people are going to act and need to act for the sake of their states and their residents. There's regulatory authority and executive powers and the like.
They're going to work really hard to what? Not to do what is the federal law and stand in the way. I mean, it was the Biden administration that deported the Venezuelans from Martha's Vineyard, Mike. So what is she talking about? Why is she going to use state police to try and go against Donald Trump when there's a lot of other issues the state police could be handling right in their backyard of Massachusetts?
So I'm afraid yet again, Democratic officials are missing the point, and they need to hear it loud and clear. The point here, and the way that Democratic officials like her should have reacted, is to say, Donald Trump won fair and square. I'm going to work with him. I'm going to work with our congressional delegation to fix the immigration system so people can come here legally if they so choose, and so we can enforce our laws and the rule of law. That is the message that Americans want, and it's not that hard to say. I think everybody out there wants to fix the immigration system to reward those who merit coming to this country, and there's a whole lot of folks that are in that bucket. And also to make sure that we have things like secure borders so that terrorists don't come into our country. These are not hard things to say. And again, that message is being missed, even by people like Bernie Sanders. Let's not forget, Bernie Sanders actually underperformed Kamala Harris in his district. Voters don't necessarily like his brand of the Democratic Party either. We do have to return to the working class, but the messaging has to change.
Well, they have plenty of opportunities between now and when Donald Trump is inaugurated as well, but I doubt we'll be hearing from that. Robert, I'll give you the last 20 seconds there on where we stand and how they come around. And as Joe Biden was just saying, move forward.
Yes, well, just on that last point on the issue of immigration and border security, I agree with almost everything Mike said, although I will say this. Before we get to the point of reforming immigration in this country, we first need to close the border and we need to address the problem that we have at hand. And so there are any number of ways you could go about doing that. Obviously, governors do play a critical role, Bianca, and I think that whether it's the governor of Massachusetts or anywhere in this country, I do hope that they'll have a change of heart and work with this administration. They need to.
I have no worries that border will be closed day one. But obviously, we'll see where this goes. Robert Bluey, Mike Gatto, appreciate your thoughts. And as a Democrat, calling out members of your own party, Mike, thanks so much. Give them a call. Call AOC. Let us know how that goes.
I try.
All right, guys.